Oh, Jeep wave. Oh, I totally got ignored. Still not a true Jeep owner. Hey guys, it's Dave from POV Drives. Today we're taking a look at a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, which means a 4-door. This is a 2019 Jeep Wrangler. It's the Moab Special Edition, which is essentially just a Sahara mixed with a Rubicon in terms of luxury with the Sahara, luxury for Jeep standards, and Rubicon for off-road capabilities. We have the 284 horsepower, 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 under the hood, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission found in a lot of Fiat, Chrysler, Dodge products. Very good transmission. And we also get selectable 4-wheel drive. This is the first Wrangler I've ever driven in. So I've lived with it for about a couple days. So I'm going to talk about, kind of my impressions of the Wrangler, commuting, interior, driving dynamics, and, just my overall thoughts around these vehicles. They're very desirable by a huge segment of people, including off-roaders and mall crawlers. And there's obviously a ton of controversy when it comes to Jeep as a brand, but I just wanted to give my honest opinions, starting with the exterior. Painted in the standard white that you see in most Jeep Wranglers, looks pretty sharp. So we have a lot of black trim as part of the Moab, including that Moab decal, a black Jeep badge, some like hoods that are hood vents, brake vents that are non-functional, black wheels. These are 17-inch wheels with 33-inch off-road tires. They look pretty sharp, really gives this Jeep quite the presence on the road, really suits the character. Signature swing open tailgate, bottom portion with the glass folding rear. Back here, good loading floor. You do have this rear bumper kind of putting you away from the loading floor, but the height is very good. And decent amount of space back here, as well as some underfloor storage. Obviously, no need to a spare tire because the spare tire is over here. And then you can also fold the seats from the rear. At 5'10", I'm able to reach the whole mechanism without any problem. If you're shorter, you might have some issues. And then you close it by closing the glass first. And the rear tailgate. Nice and proper, nice boxy, nice proper boxy car from the early 1900s. Sorry, 1940s. And a pretty usable interior. We do have the hard top. This also has the Rubicon features, including those larger wheels and tires, the limited slip rear differential. So this Moab is more than just an appearance package. You do get those larger wheels, the rock rails, steel bumper. Woo, nice and beefy. You also get a limited slip rear differential and a 2-speed full-time transfer case. So you do get some off-road capability. You're missing things like locking differentials and disconnecting sway bars, but still more capable than like the Sport or the Sahara. Interior. You do get the hardtop, and we also get the Alpine 9-speaker stereo. That's part of the kind of Sahara trim upgrades. Fold up these seats. The middle seat is heavy. And then fix the headrest when we get in. Grab handles. Now, before we talk about the seating, I do like that there are a lot of Willys Jeep from the 1940s, because this very boxy car is pretty much from the 40s in terms of a lot of its features, but it's still very capable and obviously very attractive in 2020 for Jeep cannot sell enough of these Wranglers. There's also a refresh on the Wrangler in 2024, new infotainment, side door airbags, as well as some active sound cancellation, a couple of other features to kind of modernize the Wrangler as best as you can modernize it. But anyways, sitting behind myself, 5'10" in my driver position, I say like about 6 inches of legroom, plenty of space to stretch out, headroom, nice, plenty of space at this hardtop. In terms of comfort amenities, you do get some vents, window controls, and a USB and a wall outlet. We also get a nice center cup holder setup, folds right down. And these leather seats, not the highest quality leather, but they're leather and they're decently comfortable. There is a lack of thigh support though, so even at my 5'10", I'm sure I would get a little tired sitting back here. But plenty of room to stretch out and get different positions to reduce road fatigue. Now getting out of the back, I would recommend grabbing this grab handle and not falling out, because it is a pretty short door opening for the back compared to the front. Manual seat, front seat, manual lumbar, and manual adjustment. 2024 also brought power adjustment on the higher trims. Interior of the Jeep Wrangler. I think it's a very unique interior and it's very functional. Material choices, there are some nice touched up leather on a lot of touch points, including the dash, armrest, center console, obviously the leather seats. There are some plastic bits as you get lower, you know, it's definitely cheap feeling. But this interior has 80,000 miles and it's held up pretty well. I don't hear any squeaks or rattles or anything that would hint bad quality and fitment of parts. Just, you know, not the highest quality parts, but this is meant to be taken off road. The doors, the roof, everything's supposed to be come off and it still function as a vehicle that can go in water or go in a lot of elements. In terms of tech, we do have heated seats, heated steering wheel, that upgraded speaker that I mentioned, this 8-inch touchscreen, which is pretty responsive to go through the menus, in my opinion, for a Jeep. We get a backup camera, which is not the greatest resolution. Looks like there's something wrong with it, but the backup lines do turn with the steering wheel. You also get rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, and this center gauge cluster digital kind of screens about like maybe 5 inches, and you get a tachometer and a speedometer that are physical. Lots of information, speedometer in the center gauge, all your vehicle temperatures, oil life, what the drivetrain is doing, your pitch and roll angles, fuel economy. This 280 horsepower 3.6 liter V6, the Pentastar, gets about 19 mpg city, 23, 24 on the highway. Driven about 150 miles, the trip computer isn't exactly correct. Getting 18.4 mpg does take regular fuel, so it's not terribly efficient for being a giant off-road large tire brick. And we do get Apple CarPlay, it is wired. And that's pretty much all you need. Window controls in the center, because obviously the doors are going to come off. And you do get some auxiliary switches. Mechanical parking brake. Your four-wheel drive selector, 2 cup holders, deep amount of center console storage, and that's it. So let's get on the road and I'll talk about this Jeep. It is a little toasty in here. There's something charming about driving a Jeep Wrangler, and really any body-on-frame vehicle, but especially Jeep, because the Jeep is just unique pretty much entirely aside from the Ford Bronco, which we'll talk more about. I have good visibility though, no issues seeing around, you know, my A and B pillars, my blind spot. I can get into a nice comfortable position, manually adjusting steering wheel and seats, no problem here. as that guy's just better than us and goes in the other lane. First, let's talk about this V6. There are a ton of powertrain options available for the Wrangler. This V6 is the base engine. You can also get a manual with the V6. There's a Turbo 4. There is a plug-in hybrid with that Turbo 4. There is the 392 6.4 liter V8, which I would absolutely own if I had that money. The V6, I think, or the V8, suits the character of this car. It's a very warm resonance. It does start to strain when you get up into the higher revs as you're pushing for more horsepower. 280 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. Doesn't really go super far in this large vehicle. The 8-speed automatic transmission does downshift pretty quickly when you need to get some more power. And it's decently fuel efficient. It's a tried and true motor relatively for Jeep and Dodge and all the other Stellantis brands. Let's talk about steering while I'm hooning it. So I came into this review knowing that the Wrangler would be not the best street car, and it's surprised me, starting with the steering. While it is opposite of normal steering, where normal steering is light at low speeds, heavy at highway speeds, so you don't overcorrect on the highway, and so you even need to time going around parking lot. This is the opposite. It's very heavy at low speeds, trying to crank those big all-terrain tires. I don't know if they added any power steering, or if there is power steering. I think there probably is at some point, like a power assist motor. And on the highway, I will show you later, you do have to make some corrections, but it's not as bad as you think. You kind of just have to let it, dance around in its lane and then apply correction. Oh, Jeep wave. Oh, I totally got ignored. Still not a true Jeep owner. But yes, the steering is not too bad. I mean, it is pretty vague though, and it's pretty funny to do the Jeep wiggle. But I don't think it's a deal breaker for me if I was to own one of these. Ride quality. So I said in one of my videos I'll be posting about commuting in this, the larger tires will help with ride quality because the sidewall will soak up the bumps more. But it'll obviously produce a lot more noise, and it'll contribute to that poor steering just because you have a lot more surface area and inertia to deal with trying to turn the car. But I don't think the suspension is poorly damped. You will get a ton of body roll and a lot of bounce in this body on frame SUV, but it feels light. It feels, I don't know, it feels like chuckable. Maybe it's the unrefined nature of this Jeep, but it's fun to throw around. Now when we get on the highway, we'll talk more about the ride quality for daily driving. We are nearing rush hour, so I don't know how much capability to have fun I will have, and we are still in a pretty large vehicle with some questionable dynamics. So I'll sum up the suspension that it is comfortable, it is livable, it doesn't beat you up, it definitely is bouncy, may not be as comfortable for your drivers as it is you, but I'm not disappointed by it. Now I can't see Bass's truck. That's just fantastic, dude. All right. Transmission shifts are nice and smooth, quick under power, very smooth just around town and stuff, and it makes a good little noise, you know, on the off shift with the V6. It's very nice. It's very well put together. It's a very good transmission in this Jeep. So while we're here, let's talk about the competitors before I wrap up and give my final thoughts on the highway. The big one really is now the Ford Bronco. Pretty much the Ford Bronco, you know, this still has solid axle suspension. It's not as refined of a body-on-frame SUV truck. The Bronco is just going to handle better on the road. It's going to have better isolation, better NVH, and suspension tuning. It's still going to be a big box going down the road. There's still going to be wind noise. There's still going to be poor fuel economy. But overall, the Bronco definitely beats out the Jeep in terms of its daily driver livability. I do think the Jeep has just much more of a soul than the Bronco. I think it's got cooler engines, a cooler heritage. You got, you know, wheelies in the windows, wheelies on the floor mat and stuff, wheelies on the shifter. Just a lot of heritage with this vehicle. And it is rush hour, so I won't be able to show you some crazy acceleration from this brick. So let's switch into manual mode and continue to talk about the Bronco. Very responsive, naturally aspirated V6. Gets you up to speed in relative time. See if I can get up to 70 miles an hour. So the Bronco, just has a couple of engine options. You have the Bronco Raptor, which is twin turbocharged V6, and then there's the standard EcoBoost V6 and the 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, and that's really it. You don't have a hybrid option. You don't have a gnarly V8 Rubicon or 392 like you do in the Jeep. And I just think the Jeep is just like, it's got that brand awareness as that off-road mall crawler. It's just, you know, I think it's just got the history, but the Bronco I think will develop its own following. Now, one last thing, ride, noise, wind, it's there. You get used to it. I think just, you know, the combination of everything, it's not the most practical daily driver, but really it's livable. You get blown around a lot in the wind. You definitely hear more wind noise and stuff. We don't really have crazy high speeds here either, so you're not really getting into the 70, 80 plus mile an hour territory where you're going to hear more wind noise and, you know, have more body shake like this. Woohoo! It's like not even moving the steering. That's funny. So I'll sum up my thoughts on the Jeep Wrangler. Been very excited to drive this car, and I've definitely enjoyed it. I don't know what it is. I have this soft spot for Jeep. I think just because they're true to their mission of being an off-road focused brand, which is totally not something in my lifestyle, but I just love these cars. They're charming, they're rugged. I think that's what it is. I like the rugged, charming nature of them. They are unbelievably overpriced products. The Wrangler, the worst culprit of them all, but even the Grand Cherokees from Jeep are now cresting 80 grand new for the top trims, and you could get them like for almost 40 grand less on the used market if you're savvy. Even 50 to 60 is a pretty normal listing for a relatively new Grand Cherokee on the used market. I personally would probably take this Wrangler with the manual, probably the 4-door, just to make my life a little bit easier in the future with kids and right now with the dog. But obviously I don't hold on to the car, so who knows what I'd have in 2 years anyways. But I'm also looking forward to trying this out against the Bronco as well as the Gladiator from Jeep. I won't be able to do a comparison with the Bronco, like a direct comparison, but I'll be able to talk about my thoughts on this Wrangler and compare him to the Bronco. Now, before we pull up here and do a little launch, I will end the video saying, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this Jeep Wrangler. Do you own one? What powertrain do you own? What kind of trim? Do you off-road? Do you mall crawl? Or are you just so against Jeep and you just want to go buy a Toyota Corolla for your off-roading? But let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching. As always, it's Dave from POV Drives. I'll see you on the next one. Little burnouts. You really feel the rear end kind of lift up, and this car is, what a character.